Hey, what's up? I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And today we're talking about Prey from 2022, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, for a brand new Ripe Reviews.
We're back, Joe. We are back in the dungeon with another Ripe Review after a hot minute itself.
The boys are back in town for sure.
Yes.
With a few days to kill.
Well,
And maybe.
Yeah. Predator 2 reference, obviously.
Yes, clearly.
Man,
wow. We haven't recorded it. We haven't been in here in a hot minute. I don't want to go too. I don't want to linger on that too long. But
no. Especially if you're coming to this like a year later, like, what did
what the fuck are
the
they
last
talking
episode?
about?
There was what did they talk? Yeah. But yeah, anyone that's following, live right now, if you will, we're back after a little hiatus. Which we'll probably go into a little bit more in our next main episode
and our live show for
our
sure.
live wrap up. We'll be bringing that back. If you've been wondering where those have been, we'll be talking about it soon. But they're coming back.
Yeah, the fallout of the live in person show and some other things that we'll be getting to. But today we are talking about a brand new Predator movie.
Yes.
Okay, Prey.
I gotta say, Joe, it might be the title of the video. I guess we're gonna find out soon enough.
Is Prey a good Predator sequel?
Either that, or is it the best Predator sequel we've gotten in decades? I think both kind of fit. Both kind of fit.
The best Predator sequel since Predator 2.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll workshop it.
I think so. I think so. I don't think that's a hot take at this point.
No, I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's a step backwards into the right direction.
Right. No,
right?
Exactly.
Because we got a lot of, oddly enough, which we'll get into, but the little ties to the franchise itself.
Right. Especially the first two flicks.
Yeah. Well, especially the second one.
Well, wow. There's a key one.
There's a key and there's a little something there.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Predator and Predator 2, fantastic films.
Yes.
Okay. We already go check out our Predator 2 episode. We do a fucking balls deep dive of Predator 2 on that with Tony from Hack the Movies. We had such a good time talking about Predator 2 and going into that and how it's the best Predator sequel ever made. So then we get Predators.
Right, which after doing that episode, I guess I remember a little better than I thought I did at the time. But
okay.
Still probably should go back and revisit it. I know you did after we did that recording.
I did. It's fine. Like, it's inoffensive. I look back on it fondly. I told that story with the Predator blood and all that stuff when Chris and I went to go see it. Chris Barr from Talks from the Dark Side. It's fine. It's okay.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of the Super Predator stuff. That's kind of like my hang up. And
that's kind of what the Predator is too.
And that's kind of and it's kind of like my big gripe with Prey, but we'll get to that because there's not. I want to talk about all the good stuff and then the bad stuff, if you will. But and then we get the Predator, which was a fucking Tony said it best because he was like I remember being in the theater for that and enjoying the first half of the movie and then being like, what the fuck are we doing here?
God.
Which is strange because, you have Fred Decker and Shane Black, but then the studio went back and, of course, hacked it to shit. There's another cut somewhere. Hopefully we get to see it. I don't know if it's going to be any better than what we got.
We got to get the black cut rolling, get the hashtag rolling on Twitter.
I mean,
get the mobs out.
It's got to be better than fucking Iron Man Predator suit, right? I think so. So
didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, because you've never seen the Predator.
No, maybe I will eventually just watch it just to finally know for a fact that Sean O'Rourke has seen this movie and it is bad, rather than going off of every friend that I know that said don't watch it.
I'm baffled that you didn't go back and just revisit the Predator series, excluding Alien vs. Predator.
I went back and rewatched 1 because I was talking about it on that Predator 2 episode about how it's my favorite, and it still is.
Mm-hmm.
But I should probably go back and watch Predators. I don't want to rewatch AVP, but I'm due. But I've seen that movie at least 2 or 3 times, and I haven't liked any viewing of it. I mean, I like moments. I'll give it that. There are moments that are good. But overall, I'm kind of like, I don't need it. Especially now that we have another, again, not to blow my
proverbial load.
Yes, there you go. But we finally got a good one again.
Yeah. Well, again, a lot of what I want to talk about with the design and the execution comes along with. So put a pin on Predator or Alien vs. Predator.
Okay, fair.
So yeah, Prey is about this Native American girl in this tribe where she's trying to prove herself as a hunter because, sometimes picking fucking yams and and doing the skins and drying the fucking skins and cutting the fat off the skins isn't something that, a woman wants to do.
Right. She doesn't want to be a gatherer. She wants to go out there.
Yeah. She wants to hunt,
protect the tribe, go out there and do what she wants to do. But it's, it's a stigma.
Yeah.
We don't do that. You stay in your line over here. Yeah. Which, the movie really does follow that thread throughout. And it's kind of interesting because I was kind of going into it not thinking they were going to lean into that as heavily as they did. But apparently that would be the reaction that people would have had at the time.
Yeah.
Although I did see that is something that would happen occasionally. Not often. But sometimes someone would go into a different job title, whether they went from warrior or hunter to gatherer or vice versa.
Sure, and I feel like that's maybe not purely, but I feel like that's a very kind of European thing. The role of the woman and what she's supposed to do and all that kind of shit.
I mean, that was definitely a factor for sure.
No, I know, but I thought that in most Native cultures, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about here.
Sure,
but I thought in most Native cultures there was a shared responsibility like that. There was more respect.
Oh yeah, well,
like that.
I mean, we kind of get that. Talk about respect for nature, especially. We kind of get the other end of the spectrum of that in the film too.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. But I mean,
but I get what you're saying.
Well, talking about the fact of women in history, they've always been badasses. They just people are like, oh, they're shoving their stories down our throat. Blah, blah, blah. It's like. It's not that. It's never happened before.
Right? I didn't know.
You know what I mean?
Really go into that per
se. No. I know, but I wanted to just address it just for the fact of the matter of people saying stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's a woman, and I can't believe this woman beat a predator and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know if you know this, but in all of the movies, not one fucking fight against one of these things is won by pure masculine power.
And that's kind of why I wanted to rewatch the first one also. Those arguments I don't get. If you watch, here's my thing. If you watch the movie, it didn't do it for you. No, I don't get it, but fine. More power to you. That's your opinion.
Sure.
But I don't like punching down on this show, but there's just people coming out of the woodwork that I swear to God are just searching hashtags that aren't actually fans of the show that are just want to come out and be like, yeah, basically what you just said. Yeah. Hey, couldn't beat the Predator 80 pounds wet. And it's did you see Predator 1 where Arnold and all these guys are the ultimate alpha males? And that's the point, is that they get their ass kicked.
Not even ultimate. You don't even have to say ultimate alpha males. Ultimate fucking badass soldiers.
Right, yeah. Basically the what was that other movie that they did? With Stallone.
Expendables.
They're basically the Expendables.
Yeah, no, straight up.
Literally.
Yeah.
And
the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors.
Exactly. Yeah. And the only reason why Arnold beats it is because he kind of figures out by watching it throughout the film and uses his brain. Second movie, Danny Glover's just a fucking beast and goes after this thing in nonstop, sweating through his fucking jacket and just goes after, from A to Z till the end of the film.
Well, in the second one, there's different factors because you have the Gary Busey factor and the government agency also attacking the Predator. Predator gets caught off guard is what it is. So he gets literally outsmarted to an extent and then caught in the kerfuffle of that. And then Danny Glover kicks down the fucking door.
Yeah.
But
and then Predators, they drop in the best killers in their field or whatever. But my point being is there's never been this precedent that you have to be a certain make. And even AVP, for Christ's sake, the main character that ends up making it to the end is a woman, in case you forgot.
Well,
I just don't understand that shit. It feels to me not to just call people out straight up neckbeard just getting upset for the sake of being upset. And it's again, if you watched it and you were this doesn't work for me, fine. Mm-hmm. But it just felt to me a lot of people well, she's brown and she's a woman and this is the 1700s. Come on. It's I don't know. Not to bring the room down, but I just couldn't believe
Case in point
shit.
Is you don't defeat one of these monsters without outsmarting them.
And with all
that's what the point is.
Exactly.
The point is that they're clever silent hunters with advanced technology. You're not going to beat them in a fucking hand-to-hand combat.
No.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Arnold doesn't even in that first one. He gets the shit beat out of him.
No, you need he gets the shit beat out of him.
You need to think.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just wanted to say that because spoilers, that's how she ends up beating it, is outsmarting it, not by being, I'm strong, I punch in face, you dead.
But not
like, what do people expect?
Not only
that's my thing, too.
Not only that, but like, we're talking about how long ago? That woman is tougher than probably 95% of the males today.
Well, that is
just
true.
the way they lived and stuff and had to survive and things. So like, that's a thing where it's like, well, you know, you got to factor that kind of shit in. Anyway, I wanted to get that out of the way because I just thought it was so fucking stupid that that's your main critique of this. Right?
No, I agree.
That's your main takeaway. You walked away and said, oh, that's impossible. I think it's
again, also in a Predator movie that we just said what we said. Anyway, let's talk about the acting a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of these characters, I mean, there's a lot of characters in this, but there's really 2 that we focus on. Well, 3 if you count the Predator, actually.
4 if you count Adolini.
Well, okay, that is true. That's true. But I mean, mostly our
no. I mean, really, you're focusing on Naru, who's Amber Midthunder.
Yeah, and I saw Trachtenberg put out a tweet that said actually the R's in Comanche actually translate as a D,
Nadu.
So it was Nadu or something like that.
Nadu.
The tweet will be on the screen for
I'm
the
not
video
entirely
version,
sure.
but I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, we had her Amber Midthunder.
Yeah. Do you want to get in front of that first before we go into this? The Comanche thing?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think this movie works both in English and Comanche, even though I was kind of like, let's watch it in Comanche.
Yeah.
I prefer the Comanche version, but I also understand with it being a dub that it's just, for some people, that's not going to work. And it's like this weird thing where Hulu did like the dub, but it's the closed caption version, which that's fine for people that need that. But for me, I'm just like, all right, now I got to see every bird chirp in the fucking subtitles. I'm like,
sure.
I dealt with it, whatever. But.
So we watched it all together. We had a great time. We watched it on the big screen at my house. We had a little party and a little watch party. And, we ended up watching it in English, but I think and then the next day I watched it in Comanche. Now, my problem is, if you're going to do it in Comanche, do the fucking movie in Comanche. Because the dub was kind of distracting. Because it had that kind of like Godzilla effect.
A little bit, yeah. Especially
for me personally, because
there were sections where they would speak it too. Yeah, like Pepper and Comanche.
But most of the time they're talking in English with it dubbed over, and it's kind of weird. It like fucks with my brain because like I really don't watch movies like that anymore. And it added a layer of corniness to it for me that kind of took me out of it.
Okay.
I wanted to be there for it, and I think it's cool, and I think it's great, and I think it's really awesome that they did it. I wish they shot the fucking movie in Comanche and did an English dub of it.
Me too.
If that's the way it was going to be.
And I think some of the scenes later, like when you do get your Raphael Adolini's show up, and he's portrayed as like a translator in this film for the fur trappers that show up later on. But I feel like that scene would have maybe worked a little better because you have to remember that he's speaking Comanche, but you're hearing it in English because it's doing like the 13th Warrior thing.
I was just going to say the 13th Warrior thing.
But it doesn't even really do that, or it doesn't really do like it doesn't quite do the 13th Warrior or Hunt for Red October where they lean you into it with like their actual spoken language and it turns into English. It just kind of is like, here's a couple sentences in the beginning from Amber Midthunder, and the rest is English.
I think it's absolutely a 13th Warrior thing. Because it's all in English.
But too much, I would say,
from Antonio Banderas' point of view, is all English until he meets the Norsemen and then learns their language. And then as he learns it, he starts to hear pieces of it in English, which is Arabic for him.
Right. What I think that's more effective is what I'm saying.
No, I think it's great because it's cool. It's cool that I love how the French subtitles aren't even subtitled in English.
I actually
on
like
the closed
that.
captions.
I like that.
Because it gives you this sense of them being like alien and like strangers in a strange land kind of thing.
You know what's kind of funny about that? Just talking about the subtitles, because I saw people talking about this on Twitter. That it was funny in Pred. They actually show like, even though you don't know what the French are saying unless you just happen to know French, it actually will say it in French, and then people are saying the actual Predator one. Version, like Predator 1 with subtitles, when they meet the chick in the woods, it just says speaking in Spanish. Like, they couldn't even be bothered to write what she actually said. It's like, all right, come on. Anyway.
Oh, it is what it is.
But yeah, so Amber Midthunder's great, and her brother, played by Dakota Beavers, I think his name's Taabe or Taabe.
I think it's Taabe.
Taabe. He's awesome. This is his first fucking movie, and this guy like really brought it. I mean, they both brought it, but for his first movie, like this guy's incredible.
I think he's really good.
Yeah,
I liked that all the natives were played by natives. That was a great. It's amazing how immersive that can be.
Yeah. I mean, one of the producers, Jane Meyer, she like went out of her way to like make sure that was a thing, and they paid very close attention to like what the actual Comanche wore, so you don't have the situation where a lot of movies you would see like, oh well, they're wearing Native American like stuff, but it's like some from this part of the country, some from this part of the country,
which doesn't make sense.
Do research,
No, but like specifically, that's what I appreciated about it, and that's kind of like what I was saying, like the fact that they paid attention to all the historically accurate things in it, which I thought which I appreciated. The way that it's executed is great. As far as the acting goes, I think they're good, but I know sarcasm doesn't have a date on it, right? It doesn't have not a generational, but an era.
It's evergreen.
It's evergreen, right. But it feels very. When you get the smatterings of that, it feels very now, and that took me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the way they react to certain things. When they go back and forth, I forget what the guy's name is who has like
he's kind of an asshole.
Well, yeah, he's a jerk off. But like they have an interaction, him and Amber Midthunder, where it's like, oh, it seems very modern, I guess is my point.
I could see that. I can totally see that.
I think everybody's fine in it though. I think a couple big things for me are nobody's sweaty.
I think Amber Midthunder is pretty fucking sweaty by the end of it.
I don't think so. It's lacking the kind of like, when you watch Predator 2 or the first first Predator, it's lacking that kind of grit, and I wish that it's a little too clean for me. I guess that's what I'm saying. Everybody's a little too neat. You know what I mean? They should be sweaty and kind of gross. You know what I mean? Their war paint should be a little fucked up. You know what I mean? It's like to a T. It's perfect.
Okay.
It's like perfectly applied and stays that way forever.
Wow. Until they get into a fight, but I could see what you're saying. Yeah. Even just then, walking around, you would think it would melt a little. Yeah,
but that's not their fault. That's like a production thing. And it could have felt a little bit more raw, I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, going off of saying raw, this didn't bother me, but I could see where a lot of people are coming from, or the animals in this film. Could have looked a little more raw. I know Tony, he was watching the movie with us on the projector at your house, or projector rather, and he was
projector.
But he was. Thank you for calling that out even more so.
Sorry,
he was calling out like the deer didn't look that realistic, and I'm like, okay, you're not wrong, but didn't bother me. There was a wolf. I thought that looked pretty good.
Yeah, the wolf looked okay.
The bear, 50-50.
The mountain lion looked okay.
Yeah,
the problem is like. They took a chance on this.
True.
There's
that too. We haven't really even talked about that.
So, okay. Sorry, we have a lot of thoughts on this.
Yeah.
They took a chance on because the Predator took a shit.
Right.
And everybody got very upset about that movie. So it was kind of that's why it was like dumped to Hulu and not like put in theaters, man, because it's one of those things where it's like, well, let's see how it does, And whenever that happens, whenever it's like, whatever, the studio kind of takes their claws out a little bit.
Right.
And the artists get to do art and get to write a good story and don't have to hit all these fucking beats. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
Because this is, for all intents and purposes, it's like a slower paced movie, especially for a Predator movie. And if you go watch The Predator in this movie, like there's fucking shit happening like every 5 fucking seconds in The Predator to hit all those fucking quotas for the action movie, right?
Right.
It's impressive to me that they got to take their time and tell the story and reveal the Predator little by little, like we like to do in the first and second movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat. And I guess what I'm saying is they had a little bit more breathing room because the studio is like, if it fails, whatever. Let's see how the Predator franchise does because now we own it, Disney. You know what I mean?
That is true. Yeah.
So of course the money's not all the way there for the CG and stuff like that because they want to see how it does. You know what I mean? And I feel like people. That was another thing I saw. Why is everybody praising this movie and blah 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 blah? It's not that great. Well, when you go back and you watch the last fucking 3 movies that feature a Predator in it, they're not that great. And like, yeah, but it's like, it's going back to the feeling of these first 2 films that I think is why it everybody's gushing about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's like, oh, this is great, because it feels like maybe it's not as good as these two, but it's going, like I said in the beginning, it's taking the step back in the right direction, kind of.
Well, we talked about this before we even like started recording, but like it's that thing too where the first two movies, like, yes, there are certain story beats that are the same, or maybe not story beats, but there's certain elements that are in both movies to get from point A to point B.
An alien comes to Earth to hunt people.
Right. And then somebody stops it.
Yeah.
But they both find unique ways to kind of get to that crescendo.
Sure.
And I think this movie also does that. And it does kind of build off of those first two movies in unique ways, but also does go back to the pool a little bit. But like, I feel like that makes it like, it's not a bad thing. Like, it works in this film.
No, not at all. I think one of my favorite things about this film is Naru, however you say that, and the Predator being nearly parallels.
Yes.
You know, and had them both being young braves or young bloods, or before they're blooded. You know what I mean? Right. Because Naru's whole thing is that she wants to become a hunter and respected among the tribe, that she can do it. You know what I mean? She is worthy of being respect of that stature,
being a war chief, or whatever.
Well, not even a war chief, not even a war chief, but somebody who could be just as good as anybody else.
True. Yeah.
Doing it, and she's kind of, her passion lies there. That's the whole thing. It's not just to be like, because I'm gonna be, whatever. It's like, that's just who she is, and I get that. Like, I know how that feels, where like, you're doing the thing and you're trying to do the thing and you don't want to do the thing because this other thing keeps gnawing at you, man, in your head. Yeah. You're doing something that you don't want to fucking do, but you're doing it because everybody's telling you to do it. But you don't want to do that. You want to do this until you take the initiative, which she does. But back to the Predator thing, like, I love how the parallels between the tribes and the very tribal nature of the alien hunter himself, or itself, they're both coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you really get a cool sense of this Predator getting blooded and fighting different animals, and like claiming different animal skulls, and like fighting. The prey gets more dangerous as it goes.
Yeah, the escalation's great.
Which is really fucking great. And but it also mirrors Naru, because she has to she goes to hunt a mountain lion to prove herself with her brother.
Right, and that doesn't really go well. I mean, she does end up getting a shot in on it, but she falls off the tree. Although I do love that scene, because there's one of the warriors that doesn't believe in her is like, you just hang out here, we'll take care of it, talking shit, and he gets sideswiped.
He's like, you're a girl, you're scared, right? You're scared of this fucking mountain lion. It's got arrow teeth. It's gonna kill you. And this fucker gets pulled out of the tree.
It's like
and
Sam Jackson in Deep Blue Sea, man.
Up. But to your point, the whole reason Taabe or Top, or however you say his name, I'm sorry,
Taabe, I believe,
if I'm mispronouncing that, she fucking jabs that mountain lion right in its side, and that's how he's able to kill it.
Right. Well, when we get a call back.
later at the end of the movie, he says, I couldn't have did it if you didn't do that, if you didn't get that hidden, and if you didn't track it and do it the way that we did it. You know what I mean? And
exactly. Like, he admits to it later when they're like captured. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's a great scene in the beginning where they're hunting a falcon, or a red tail, or whatever it is, and she's waiting for it to fly over this river, and he's like telling her this bullshit story, and then he's like, fuck this, and he shoots it, and it lands in the fucking river, and he has to go get it, and she's like, I was waiting for it to fucking fly over here, dumbass.
Well, and it's great too, like, we're just kind of like with the ripe, we're not getting into every little detail, but when she's like going and trying to prove herself, there's like that great scene when they show all the gatherers walk out and she goes the other direction.
That's what I mean. She has this passion in her that she needs to do it, and there's something wrong, and she knows something's wrong,
because when they're fighting that saber tooth, she sees, like, in the distance, you hear it, and she sees like the lights going off in the distance, like the Predator was fighting something dangerous. Like, you just hear the gunshots going off, or whatever the equivalent is, because this Predator, even though it's still advanced, I like that this is like Predator advanced from 200 years ago.
Well, okay. Hold that thought.
Okay.
Because we're just gonna talk about the Predator.
Okay. Well, then let me lead up to that, because that's kind of where I was going to converge that.
Okay. Because they also she also finds its footprints. And all that kind of stuff. Because
she's going off on.
She knows something's up.
Right. To try to find this thing.
Yeah.
That distracted her and caused her not to get this kill of the saber tooth.
Sure. It's a mountain lion, by the way.
And this is where we get, I keep saying fucking saber.
Saber-tooth is like a prehistoric animal. Yeah.
The mountain lion, Sean.
You're good. When they said lion, I was like, there's no fucking lions in America.
Yeah, saber-tooth. That's what my brain keeps going to, and I said it again. Mountain lion.
I thought it was like an African lion. I'm like, oh yeah, the mountain lion.
Yeah, with the mane and everything comes peeking around. Idris Elba's gonna come jumping out at it. You see that trailer? Talk about a beast.
That looks fucking cool, man. I want to see Beast.
Cujo, but basically a fucking lion. Okay. Sign me up.
Sure.
Anyway, so she's hunting this bear. Well, she's hunting the predator, but there's a bear that's like on the river. And this is one that I think people are like talking about specifically that looks fake. But I thought this bear looked fucking sick because it's got like marks all over the face to show that it's like been around a while. It's gotten into a few fights.
It's also definitely got something wrong with it. At least that's the way I read it. Like it's because I mean, I know unless it's a grizzly, like I know they're like notoriously aggressive. So it's one of those things where it's like, why did it go after her and something? But unless it's got like, it's like fucked up or something. I mean, because it's got a meal in front of it.
Yeah, but they show specifically like the wind blowing and she's downwind.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying like, why would it go out of its way?
Maybe it's fucked in the head. I mean, who knows what this thing's eating?
That's what I mean. Whether it's got rabies or mange or whatever the fuck.
But it goes after them, and it's her and her dog, which the dog's awesome in the movie, by the way. And the dog fucking like leads this bear off, and then
what's his name, like Tiak or Tiak or something like that. Something with a T.
No, the dog is like Sarii or Shuri or something
like
that. Yeah.
I don't remember, sorry.
Either way, so we get this scene where the bear now is going after Amber Midthunder, and she dives in the water. It's in the trailers. You may have seen it already. But she like goes into like the beaver den. And this is like the first like, I mean, the predator fights a wolf, and I thought that scene was pretty fucking cool. But this is like the first like scene where you're like jumping out of your chair.
I want to talk about the wolf.
Okay, well, we'll circle back on that then. But the fucking bear is going after, and the predator, it comes out like half out of the camo, and just like a football like linebacker or some shit just tackles this fucking bear.
That was when I fucking saw that, that was one of those. So when you watch the trailer and you see that bear shot, that's not how the movie's cut.
No. They trick you in the trailer.
I jumped out of my fucking chair because this bear stops what it's doing and like turns around and fucking all of a sudden this fucking predator, this cloaked predator and this bear fucking just start going fisticuffs at each other. And they're fucking, this thing's punching this thing. The bear bites the predator and like picks it up and drops his ass.
Gets fucked up.
He gets fucked up. Dude. So the bear's walking away like he won or whatever. The predator stands up, and this is one of the best shots of the movie. This fucking bear comes charging at it, and this predator just gives it the old fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger like fucking moose punch, reindeer punch to the face.
Exactly. Or Mongo comes to mind too.
Knocks this fucking bear the fuck out.
Yeah. And then lifts it above it. And the blood, like from the intestines, is like dripping down all over the predator. It's awesome.
Over the cloak, it's really cool.
But yeah, before that, he does fight a wolf. This predator. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, only because like so what I really liked about the predator in this movie, there's a big problem I have with the predator, but it's not any of this stuff because there's a great like kind of food chain, of the planet that it's learning. Because you see like a mouse eat an ant, like there's an ant, and then it crawls on its foot, and then you see a rat eat the ant, and then a snake eats the rat, and then it goes to bite the predator and it fucking kills it.
Right.
So he keeps going up in danger.
Yep.
So he goes to fight a fucking wolf, and man, he like pimp slaps this fucking wolf across the Great Plains, and then like it comes running at him, and he just like slashes it with his gauntlet wrist or his wrist gauntlet rather, and the wolf's still like fucking like barking at him and shit, and just all of its guts fall.
It's like right out of a samurai movie.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like there's a lot of awesome fight scenes in this movie.
So we get the scene where he cleans his skulls. Now this is one of the things I didn't like because to your point before when you're like, oh, this is a predator and its technology is old or whatever. I don't think so because this predator has this sort of like spray that atomizes and eats away all of the flesh surrounding the bone. That is something that we've never seen before, but also doesn't make sense in the context that this is supposed to be an older predator, like the older predator tech. You know what I mean? Because in the first two movies, they are doing it by hand. They're not spraying anything on anything.
They're ripping it apart, and then they spray like the finished,
Yeah, but even Predator 2, he has like a scalping device that he does Willy with, and then has a fucking vacuum that sucks it all off.
I guess in that respect, it is a little inconsistent because his main weapon, that he has in all the first series movies, he has that like thing on the shoulder that shoots
the
like
plasma caster,
right, which is almost an instant kill every time. Takes out Jesse Ventura that way in the first one.
Well, yeah.
But this one instead, it's almost like I was joking about. It's like Xandu from fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. Yondu, different character, Xandu. But I was thinking because it has basically these darts that fly out,
which is awesome because they're propelled by like gravity.
Yeah,
you see this, and it's a gun. It's not a shoulder cannon. It's like a gun that it has.
Yeah, because it's like you see basically the scene is that when you first get revealed all this. After Naru's fighting the bear, she gets captured by her tribe mates who are like, don't believe she could be a hunter. Get in this big fucking fight. She beats the shit out of one of them, and then he like, they gang up on her and beat her up,
which is shitty. I always hate seeing that.
But the Predator comes out, and you just see the fucking light come on, and there's this kind of like fake out on the audience, and the three lights separate, and you're like, oh shit!
It's so fucking cool, man, because he can pinpoint 3 different spots with these arrows, and later in the movie, you actually see this gun.
See, I don't remember the gun, but
you see this gun, and it opens up, and the arrow comes out of it, but you see like this like energy coming up, so it's like this gravity propulsed like arrow, and it shoots it, of course, with the targeting system from the helmet.
Right. Well, the targeting system from the helmet is obviously a major design flaw they got rid of in later units, as we find out later in the film.
Oh, I don't think that's the case.
Well, it's definitely attributed to it. Well, but it also has this fucking shield that it uses pretty effectively,
which is really neat.
That like cuts people's heads off and shit,
and protects it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And it's kind of just the start of the movie at that point. Like she's been tracking this thing, but now like they both know each other exist.
Yeah, but there's also this kind of mutual respect because there's this whole scene with like that. Naru finds all these bison that have been skinned that are just out there. And she thinks this monster did it, but it turns out that it's the French fur trappers.
Right, which to the audience, you kind of get a tip there because you see like the bullet hole in the head and they didn't take the meat. And she finds like
a cigar.
And she finds a cigar. Mm-hmm. And the Predator actually finds that again later. They show him actually
and he fucking puts it in his mouth like Rumpelstiltskin.
No, he puts the sunglasses on.
My God. No, that's not what happens.
Imagine that in the Predator speak.
Oh my God. Uncle Rumpel's on his way.
My God.
It's a nice scene because the Predator understands like with the flowers that she puts on it, and because she's like basically saying like to the creator like I hope this bison, because they're it's a very spiritual culture and they respect the land, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So each time they take a life, they respect the fact that it's nourishing them rather than just killing it for no reason.
Oh yeah. But this is like one of those like really great fight scenes we get where like the natives are going in on the Predator. One guy's like jumping off a log, stabs in the back with a spear.
So we get the combi stick in this, but it fucking splits into tonfas.
I was thinking of fucking Vader at the in the beginning of episode 3 when he cuts off Christopher Lee's head. Oh. Anakin, whatever you want to call him at the time.
I love some of the shit is so cool because you get the gore, but it's not. But
it's
you
not
also
over the top.
It's not over the top, and some of it's like out of frame or like out of focus or whatever.
He cuts the one dude's arm off.
Man, he cuts his fucking arms off and then stabs him like in the chest. The one guy who goes to jump at him or something. No, he stabs him in the fucking foot with a spear. This Predator gets fucked up, by the way,
a lot.
And. He swings the thing and cuts off both of the guy's legs and then stabs him through the chest to a fucking log. It's really awesome.
And then we kind of get like scenes of her running away and she gets captured by the fur trappers.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads to a scene where we get introduced to Randolph Adolini, officially in the timeline.
Raphael Adolini.
Excuse me.
That's
but he shows up with his fucking pistol and his translation abilities, apparently.
So
I know you were it seemed like you weren't thrilled about the handling of this. Well, I didn't mind it personally.
So we're here. Okay. Now, clearly, that Predator 2 is very close to me. And at the end of that film, Danny Glover gets the musket thrown to him from the elder Predator, the 1715 Randolph now you got me saying fucking Randolph. Raphael Adolini. You fucking me up here. And he tosses it to him, and that's like his trophy that he gives him. Now, we waited a long time to see something like that, or like, oh, we would love to see, you know, a period piece with the Predator, which this is. And I commend Dan Trachtenberg for bringing that back and putting it in this movie. But again, the comic book does a more interesting thing with it than this movie does, where like it's that, I told you, it's like that pirate guy and the Predator comes and they face off or whatever. And then the Predator gets the gun. But in this, Raphael is a French fur trapper. He looks great. Right?
I think Chris Barr, we were talking to him about it, and he put it perfectly, saying that's exactly what I thought he'd look like.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, I'm okay with all of that. But like, motherfucking Tony, bet me again.
You should stop taking bets from this man.
Well, I tried to find the tweet, but he's all of his tweets like delete.
Oh,
and I was like,
Tony.
And I was like, fuck, I couldn't find it to see like exactly what he said, so I could contest what happened. But anyway. My problem is the musket is given to Naru in exchange for her to help him because his leg gets cut off in this big battle with the Predator.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God, that's one of the just real quick. That's probably
I don't want to go too much. I don't want to go too deep.
No, yeah, but that scene is just fucking amazing.
It's fucking great.
The trappers burn a forest down, and then just like this like ash like all over the place. The Predator's jumping tree.
Yeah.
Like that. If you haven't seen any other scene from the movie, I mean, I say just watch the movie personally, but like that scene is like, oh my God.
You should totally watch the movie. It's a good movie.
And he's like, that's kind of like reminds me of the scene in the apartment in 2. Like, just firing off every weapon you want the Predator to see, the net gun and everything.
Yeah. Oh, God, we get the net gun finally with the payoff. Because he turns that fucking guy into Ratatouille, man.
Cuts that guy's head off with his shield. And I love the fucking face the Predator makes. Makes you think of Jason in part 6 when he gets hit with the paintball. It's just he pulls like a dagger out when he's like got him up against a tree with like a knife right up to his neck. And the Predator's just like,
the fuck?
Cuts the head off. It's like, I love that kind of stuff.
It was cool. And I like that we get to see, you know, it's only implied in Predator 2 because they can only do so much, where it's like jumping off buildings and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you see this fucking thing jumping from like tree to tree to tree, which is really cool.
But you're right. Yeah, we get the scene with Raphael getting medicated basically
by
Naru, because they have this plant that cools down your body so that you basically don't go into.
It basically paralyzes you.
Right, you don't bleed out. Basically, is the idea.
It slows.
Slows down the blood.
Yeah. So you look cool to the Predator through.
I thought that was cool too.
It is cool, and the way that they do it, where like he steps. Well. Watch
later
the movie.
On, it's a great scene.
But the way, it's a
call back to 1 for sure.
So two problems. He gives her the pistol. Now she has the pistol. This wasn't taken like as a trophy like the Predator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was none of that going on. And he dies. So there's no part 2 where he comes back again. You know what I mean? Like that's it. He's done. Now the pistol. You're telling me the history of this pistol goes to Naru into that tribe, and then what? Greyback comes and then fights one of these fucking warriors and then gets the pistol?
Because like at the end of the movie, they do show like the movie ends, she beats the Predator. They have like a post-credit scene.
I don't want to talk about that yet, but yeah.
But in that, it's inferred, okay, well, they come back, but we don't know what happens.
Yeah, but that's stupid. Because that's not how that should be. I'm not going
to disagree with you. I'm just saying they at least give you an idea of like, well, maybe they took it back, or maybe it got passed down. Like it's very open interpretation. But I get what you're saying. You'd rather a definitive one way or the other. What the hell happened?
Not a definitive one way or the other, but at least leave it more open.
Yeah. Okay.
Now it's like, oh, well, Raphael's totally out of the picture, and it's just in their possession. It's like, oh,
I get that.
I wanted it to be like
he has like a badass fight with the Predator or something.
My whole thing with this is like, I wanted the Predator to be Greyback from Predator 2.
Oh, okay.
I wanted it to be him. And he comes and he fights and he kills all these people. And I mean, we can just skip to the end if you want. Now. Unless there's something else you want to talk about.
I mean, the only other thing I want to mention again was just Dakota Beavers as her brother was fucking amazing. And then that scene where where she does get the pistol.
Yeah.
He has like an amazing fight against the Predator.
Yeah. He kicks his ass.
Basically, every one of these movies hits a tipping point.
Yeah.
The first one is once, Bill Dukes basically goes crazy and goes after the Predator.
Sure.
And then just like from there on, the movie doesn't stop. Predator 2, basically the subway scene doesn't stop. This movie, this is the point where it just doesn't stop. It just keeps going. As soon as this fur trapper fight scene in this like ash forest starts, boom, movie doesn't stop. Yeah. But yeah, there's that fight scene before that I thought was amazing. And then our final confrontation where basically Naru takes like the Predator's helmet because basically he gets damaged so much in the previous fight that he drops the fucking thing.
Well, no, he fucking, what's his name? Taabe
fucks him up.
Taabe fucking smacks his fucking helmet off.
Yeah.
For the first thing, and that's how she kind of like figures out that the targeting system gets fucked up if he doesn't have the helmet on.
But she does that, and she takes it to a location that she is advantatageous to her because there's like a fucking.
It's like a mud pit that she falls into earlier,
which was a great scene. Also,
oh, it's awesome. And again, just to the point of like, how does this girl beat this predator? It just got its own combi fucking stick through its chest.
I know. Well,
she shoots it in the back of the fucking head with a musket, point blank.
Her brother, the war chief, was like hitting it with arrows, a spear
shooting
through the back,
the shit out of it with arrows, stabbing it in the back. He does. There's like there's like
so much shit. This predator gets part of its leg ripped off by a bear.
Well,
and it does heal itself at one point. It does use like one of those like little like pre-medicated.
Okay, so that pissed me off too because it was like again,
what happened to the ceramic in the in the dish?
In Predator 2, like they have to like make the shit and like make the jelly and put it on. He's just got a little fucking gun, and he's like, I'm done, I'm
like
all
one
healed
of those Tide pens, basically.
Yeah, it's like a fucking Predator EpiPen. He just fucking fixes himself, and I'm like,
okay.
And I'm like, again, it breaks that whole thing that people have been saying, like, oh, this is a Predator from 300 years ago. It's different.
Wow,
and it's like, no, it's more advanced, it seems.
Let's just get into that, because we're kind of leading into that anyway. The look of this Predator.
Yes. Okay. Well,
the feral Predator.
Yes. Well, I wanted to just make a note that, like, I didn't mind that he had like a biohelmet because it just doesn't look like a biohelmet like at all. It's a bone mask.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
That has like open things. Now it's not, there's no indication that it's a metal mask with bone on top of it. It just looks like a bone mask.
Oh yeah.
Which kind of was weird for me because I was like, okay, well, again, like, is there just like a little targeting system inside it? You know what I mean? Or whatever. That was kind of weird. There's also there's no hoses. There's no hoses to it, and like you know, from the first and the second movie, that's kind of like how they breathe too in our atmosphere. Not that they can't, but sustainably for the rest of the time.
That's
like
true.
Even though he takes his mask off in the first one to fight Arnold.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure he would have put it back on when he was done. Right.
Second one gets removed.
In the second one, he gets it removed, and he's got the respirator and shit. But he's also getting shot in his chest and stuff. This one. The whole movie, he doesn't have a respirator or any of that, which I thought was kind of strange.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. And, you know, we're just going to talk about it. But, like, I don't hate the design of the face, but I understand.
We're not there yet.
Well, we might as well be. We're like right there. All right. We're talking about the mask and everything. We're there. I think it's fine, but I also understand where people are coming from because this is so iconic that why are you going to change it now?
Not true. Look at Predator 2.
Yeah, but they don't change it that drastically. It still has
it's drastically
the same
different
type of face.
That's the thing. It's the same type of face, but it's drastically different. This Predator doesn't look anything like this Predator.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
They look the same. My point is,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
A white European and a man from Nigeria look completely different.
Right.
But the same. Do you understand what I mean?
Still the same species.
Yes. So I don't like the fact that there's like snailian bug predator. Okay, this fucking thing's eyes. It also breaks for me. It breaks the humanity of the predator itself, and the direct link between us and them, and watching them, and where their eyes are placed and their faces placed, where it's like this uncanny, terrifying thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now its eyes are like up on its fucking head, and it looks like a
they're like more up like here kind of area.
It looks like the Cathoga from fucking The Relic. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It doesn't look like a predator, and they just can't seem to fucking get this right. And I don't know why. Maybe it's a thing of like they want to like have their own version of it, or stray from Stan's you know what Steve Wang did and John Rosengrant, and there's a problem with that for me because you can make the Predator look different without fucking with its where its features go. You can enhance them, you can move them around a little bit, but like The mouth is always fucked up on all those later entries. Everything after 2 looks like asshole, right? Because like,
do you think this is then like an overcorrection to the point where they missed the point?
I don't know if it's an overcorrection or an I don't want my work to look like
their work,
my mentor's work. We want to make our own Predator to stand out. But the problem is, this is one of those characters where that doesn't fucking work. Okay, it just took me out of it. When his mask came off, I was like, this looks like a fucking cartoon and I hate it. Right? Because like it's practical, but it's all enhanced with CG on the face so that it looks like a fucking cartoon. You know what I mean? And that pissed me off.
There's pictures of what it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand all the additional CG. I mean, I understand it. But...
How much fucking movement in the face do you really need?
Yeah, you don't need that much.
There's a huge range of motion in both of these. This one's fucking slapped together. Okay? He was slapped together in 1987, and it had all these. It had the little.
I just rewatched it.
It had the little clicks moving, and the mandibles moving, and the eyes, and well, it was Kevin Peter Hall's eyes, but the brow and all that shit moved, and even more so on the second Predator. Yeah. So was it really that cheap? Much more cheaper to do it ZG or all practical?
I probably not that much more. Yeah.
I don't know. I hate the fucking way the Predator looks in this, like his face. And again, like even his body's kind of weird, but that's like whatever. Because
you don't like the 16 packs?
No, I don't like a 16 pack. Look at these fucking guys. That's the other thing. The Predators are like, they're tall, they're intimidating, but they're lean. And
I mean, this thing's still pretty lean.
It's pretty lean, but it's just
somehow it has 16.
It has a 16 pack. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they dropped the ball with it.
Okay.
With the look. Because you had me up until this point, and then when that mask comes off, I'm like,
Yeah. I understand it. I don't mind it personally. I thought it looked fine, but I probably would have preferred the more I was gonna say authentic, but the more accurate to the first 2 look.
So,
and even like an AVP. But I'm here for feral Predator if this is supposed to be like 1,000-year-old Predator, but I also get your complaints and other people's complaints that I've seen online. Like, it's not one of those ones where I'm like scratching my head like, you just don't want the new thing. It's like, no. It does look super different. I get it.
But like, stop with the fucking 1,000-year-old Predator shit. Like, Homo sapiens have not changed that much. The way we look.
I know we were talking about that too, yeah.
Right? So
I'm reaching, Joe. That's the straw I'm reaching
and you could
try to make it make some sense.
And you could say Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon man and all that bullshit, but there's not Homo sapien. And you can say that this thing is a more primitive form of that, but it's clearly not because of the technology that it has. Okay,
right.
That's my problem.
It has those arrows, but it has like super advanced healing medicine,
right? And super advanced like scalping things. And it's like, okay, well, I thought he just had the arrows just because of the.
Like a choice kind of thing?
No, well, yeah, a choice because of what he was hunting and to make it fair, quote unquote.
I could see that too.
You know?
And well, speaking of, I joked about this on the Predator 2 episode when we were talking about Prey. We do get the stupid fucking Europeans with the goddamn muskets shooting at the Predator.
It's a great scene because like what would have happened? You
exactly.
know?
And then it does nothing and they have to reload it and they just immediately get killed.
Yeah.
There's the Predator again, much like Jason in Part 6, just staring at them like
it's so good. There's also a great scene where the Predator, instead of like doing its big explosion thing, drops a fucking its gauntlet and these little like proximity mines come out that fly,
but they have like blades in them and shit.
Just the idea of like these French guys not knowing what the fuck they're looking at and them coming out and like flying, like blowing them up.
I do love like the fur trapper leader in that scene though, like kind of like backs the fuck out of Dodge because he's like the only one smart enough to be like, this seems off.
But like, there's no alarm clocks. You have no idea.
You have
no idea or the thought of like what's happening.
Well, I mean,
right?
like, and that's also some of the charm to this film too. Like, before we kind of wrap this up, where when Amber Midthunder first sees this alien spaceship, she has no fucking clue. She's like, oh, it's like a sign from the Thunderhawk or something to that effect.
The Thunderbird.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, of course that's what you would think. And I mean, I go back and I think of like, I mean, this isn't a million stories, but Game of Thrones also comes to mind. They had like this red meteor, and it was like everyone interpreted it differently. Now that's not verbatim the same thing, but just interesting stuff. Like you don't know what it is. You have no idea. How would you know? I mean, there's stuff still flying past our skies that we don't know what it is in today's day and age. So imagine 200, 300 years ago.
Sure, but it's also a sign. Like like that were taken as signs to.
How could you not
become like? That's why she's like, oh, that's what the spirits are. That's what the spirits are telling me. That's the sign that I do need to do this. You know what I mean? So that all ties into that. That I feel like people just miss or just don't watch or looking at their fucking phone and not paying attention. You know what I mean?
It was out on Hulu and Disney Plus, so I don't know like what the excuse is that you're on your phone other than you're just not even giving it a shot. But
so before we wrap this up, and I want to talk about the ending and like also the fact like I like how in the first one they're like, oh, the jungle came alive and took him.
Oh,
I like in the second one we're like, oh, the other side, the ghost, you know, whatever. Where is that Wendigo type stuff?
They talk about it very, very.
They don't talk about it
briefly.
At all.
There's one or two lines.
It's not in there.
There's one or two lines because she doesn't know what to call it. So she calls it something specific in Comanche. Now, if you watch the Comanche version, the dub, because they're just saying the word in Comanche, they just translate it.
Yeah, but I
watched like monster or some shit.
I watched it. Yeah, but
if you watch the English version, you may have actually been up getting the ribs at that point. But they do mention at one point they say the name of whatever it's what they think it is.
Well, some kind of spirit. But I get
what you're saying because they don't really go into it deeply at all.
I know, but I always like that because it's like they are a very. Religious is maybe the wrong thing to say. Spiritual,
yeah.
So like to have something like this come and just not knowing what the fuck it was, of course they're gonna think it's something like that.
Yeah, and I mean,
or like another warrior, because that's what that was. Like a warrior going crazy was like a Wendigo thing,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right. And the Comanche, don't quote me on this. I'm not an expert on it, but my understanding is that we're more known as a warrior tribe.
Yeah,
so I could see that. Yeah,
sure, but I'm saying like the myths of the Wendigo and stuff. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly. It's Wendigo or Wendigo.
Yeah.
But my point was,
you would think they would
in that culture, in that culture, that was like a thing. You know what I mean? It was. I want to say it's like a not a monster, but like a ghost, demon kind of thing. That's born of. Like bloodlust. I mean, I think
sounds about right,
or something like that. Yeah. It's not like it's because I read about it and it was something different than it's usually portrayed as.
Okay, got it.
In movies, like Antlers, it was something different. You know what I mean? And even in like Dead by Daylight or what the fuck is that?
Oh, I don't know, the video game. Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? The one with like the mine and shit. The point and click adventure with Hayden Panettiere and the guy with the bug eyes from Mr. Robot.
Oh, that's not Dead by Daylight, but I know what you're talking about.
I forget what the fuck it's called. Something Dawn, something Daylight. I don't know.
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn?
Yeah, there you go.
So it didn't have that element to it, which I think they could have done. So I would have liked them to be sweaty as fuck, sweaty bald as fuck, like sweating all over the place and being gross.
Like
I mean,
Danny Glover.
Like the fur trappers are fucking gross, but like I wanted everybody to be gross. And have that kind of spiritual element come into play via the predator. Now, so she kills the predator.
Right.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Outsmarts it,
kills it, takes its head, brings it back to the tribe.
Which is a nice parallel to when her brother brings the lion's head back. It's shot for shot the same. I thought that was cool.
That's fine and dandy.
She finally wears the blood on her face. I was waiting for that the whole movie.
It doesn't work for me because of the way that this species works. I don't think they implemented the wrist gauntlet bomb after this. You know what I mean? I feel like that was a thing, like to not show the existence thereof of what is on the planet, because now there is proof. Now the predator is in cave paintings. Now the predator is in the Native American lore. Now or legend. Now the predator. Its fucking head is there. Ooh, you know what I mean? And it's just like...
Yeah, but that's why I think that end credit scene is there.
To show the predators come
to
what?
Show up and collect it, straight up. But you're not wrong.
Yeah, I don't want it to turn into a thing where like predators come down and like make friends with them or some shit. You know what I mean? I think that's stupid.
I mean, there is like a history of like aliens coming down for like a lot of like native tribes. I think they call them like star people.
Well, all over the world.
Yeah, but like maybe that was what they were going for there. Or maybe it was just Dan Trachtenberg like, let's try to like wrap this up in a post-credit sequence.
I guess it could work. My point is, I just, the idea of them coming back to like converse with them is kind of stupid to me.
See, my theory on that is like, just to kind of go off that thread, because you never do find out. It's just the movie ends with her bringing the head in. They basically do like a chant for her becoming blooded and becoming a war chief.
Yeah, for sure.
Is you get those cave paintings of like the hunt basically, and then the head on the ground and the ships come in. So my headcanon is
plural. That's the problem. I have.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in theory I just assume there'd be one up there.
There should just be one. The rest of the party.
They come in. So my thought is they come in, they take the fucking body, and then she gives them the pistol, or it's something like, it's 200 years. A lot of ancestors in 200 years, maybe one of her ancestors loses in a fight against a future predator and dies. I don't want to see that.
That's the way it has to go now. So now it's just a mystery wrapped up in a conundrum.
Right, but those are the only two things to me that make sense. Like if you're going to go off of that, I highly doubt. I mean, I guess this could have happened. They just came in and just fucking wiped out Amber Midthunder and her entire Comanche nation.
I don't think
think so.
That's not what they're about. No. But like, it's also a thing of like, you can't have that. Like,
right? Yeah. Like, you're gonna have the cave paintings maybe, but we'll take that tech. I guess we'll also take that pistol. It seems nice. Like, I don't know.
No, see, well, that's what I'm saying. Like the way I would have ended this if I was Dan, I was like,
or she's like, this is what killed it.
Well,
hands it over, and they're like,
somebody said that this predator could have been like a rogue, like a mad predator, like
it gets dropped off.
No, you're missing what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before the movie came out, people were theorizing.
Oh, okay.
That it could be a rogue predator or a mad predator, like from the Bad Blood, which should be its own thing, not this.
Was that a comic?
Yeah, it's great. So Bad Blood is like a predator that comes to Earth that just kills people just because it likes to kill people, not because it's doing anything out of. There's no sport, there's no honor. It's just killing, just to do it. Which would be very interesting because another predator has to come and fucking kill that predator to stop it.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to see was Greyback being the predator and fighting the fur trappers and fighting the natives. But when it came to Amber having a face-off and Amber besting the predator but not killing the predator, almost like a draw type situation where there was that honor system, or it was a different predator and the rest of the predators came and honored her as a warrior,
right?
Like I would have
kind of like
liked
a Danny Glover situation,
kind of, and like I don't know, I just rather have seen that, and the thing with the pistol could have been done in a different way.
No, I get that.
I don't know, because I don't think she had to kill it, and that would have been something we've never seen before. You know what I mean? We've seen the predator fucking die. You know what I mean? To see it live would have been like, holy shit. And like, I also like that because then the mutual respect for the natives, I think, would have been more impactful.
Yeah, but
than what we got. I mean, I guess I know it's the hero's journey or whatever for her and proving herself against the most dangerous, predator. But I don't know. I think that could have worked better.
I don't disagree. My issue with that though is like this species has been portrayed in a way, anytime it's by itself at least, as it's be or be killed kind of situation. It's gonna go until it either has killed you or you're dead.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like while I agree that would be more interesting, like she had to kill it. There's no way, like that thing wasn't gonna let her survive. It would have just kept coming at her until she was a fucking puddle of gunk on the ground.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're not wrong.
Whereas in a situation like you just described out of that comic, I could see that someone surviving, kind of like an AVP kind of situation where it's like, okay, you fought alongside me, I let you survive,
or even that, like because they share the same mutual respect and the fair trappers don't. It's one of those things where like they could have teamed up, not teamed up. That's fucking dumb. I don't like that. But like.
Yeah, my enemy, the enemy of my enemy
is my friend kind of thing. But they have a mutual respect for each other because of that shared respect for the wildlife and the land and things like that.
Yeah. No, I can see it.
And the hunt and all that stuff, the honor system that they have going.
With that said, if we get a sequel to whatever this is, I don't want a sequel to this film per se.
No.
I want like another one of these, if we want to call it that, where it's like we mused about that on our Predator 2 episode. I was saying like maybe a desert version or like, you know, like a Japanese samurai one. Like, you know, I was joking about it, I think in the episode or definitely in the comments, like Lone Wolf and Cub versus Predator. Now, I don't think that we literally would get that as cool as that would be.
But
like,
feudal Japan?
Feudal Japan.
Now you're
Predator
talking.
Would be sick.
But I think we're at a point where this was successful in what it did, to the point where each Predator movie should be its own isolated thing, which really, with the exception of the connection of keys in Predator 2, it's its own fucking thing. Like, completely. You know what I mean? And that's why I think they work. When you try to continue a fucking story from these kinds of movies, it doesn't make any sense. No. And especially when you have a planet full of these hunters that come. You know what I mean? You can literally put them at any time in any place, and they can always be different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of neat to me. It's evergreen in terms of storytelling. That's why I think the Predator stuck around so long. Not only because it's a fucking awesome character, but like you can literally drop it in any situation, for Christ's sake, and it still be satisfactory if you treat it right. You know? Yeah. So while Prey didn't blow me away, it was a great Predator movie.
So would you consider it ripe, or is it?
Oh, it's ripe, baby. Okay. Yeah. I think it's a great Predator movie. It's still not the best Predator sequel. Predator 2 is still the best Predator sequel.
I would agree.
But it's a very good movie, and I like it better than every other Predator movie besides after the second one.
I mean, it's definitely ripe for me too, and I would definitely still go 1, 2, Prey. I gotta revisit Predators, and maybe I will just watch The Predator just to finally just know. But I'm not in a hurry, so it's like, you know, whatever. But like, I would comfortably watch any one of these. I think they're all like 5 stars for me personally, for different reasons. Like, I don't have like too many hangups on like the look of it, but I understand where you're coming from. It just, for me, I don't really care as much, so that's not like a negative for me. So it's like, I don't know. If I was to pick one off the shelf, honestly, like I did just rewatch 1. And I did just watch 2, and I did just watch this 1, so I don't know if I could even answer that right now. But
it would be 2 for me still.
It might be 2. I don't know. It might be 2. But any one of those 3, I would pop on, depending on my mood, because I just think the heroes are great, the stories are great, and just the action is great in all 3 of those. And this one it brought a lot of great battle sequences. I cared about the characters. I was worried about the dog. The dog makes it to the end, for anyone worried.
I think we've gotten past that. Like, people just won't do it because it'll piss somebody off, and they'll be like, "You kill the dog."
But it's just it's a really good time, and it kind of sucks on one hand that this wasn't in theaters, because it's like, why not?
I would have loved to seen it in theaters. That's why we played it on the projector, because it was like, I want to like experience this like right.
But also, I didn't have to leave my house to watch it, so there's that. I just think that there's like one of our friends that watched the movie with us didn't even know that this was coming out, so it's like, it makes me wonder how much potential this movie's missing out on, because it's just being pushed onto Hulu because WB doesn't know what the fuck they're doing right now.
They still have WB. It's Fox.
Well, Fox
20th Century
or
Studios.
It's involved with that whole situation.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
If it's not, I'll be editing that out.
My big takeaway from this is that it's a completely different film than the first movie and the second movie.
Oh, yeah.
In the way that the second movie is a completely different movie from the first movie.
That's the way to do it.
It's also odd because it's the first, I don't want to say artistic, but it's the first epic Predator movie that I think we've gotten. And what I mean by that, it's like these big sprawling drone shots and this dramatic music, and the tonality of it is very different than like this comic booky noir feeling that Predator 2 has, or like that action packed
claustrophobic. I would even say the first one.
Claustrophobic, the second one.
Both, really. I mean, with the jungle in the first one, man.
Yeah, but the jungle's more. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's claustrophobic. You don't think so? No, but I would say that it's a different flavor altogether. That's more like an action set piece, commando type movie.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean.
This has like your sprawling landscape.
That's like Platoon with a fucking alien. You know what I mean? This is like a noir with an alien, and that is like Dances with Wolves with an alien. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in like a racial sense.
No, but
I mean it as in it's very dramatic.
Yeah,
I guess is what I'm saying. There, like, it's not anything like 1 or 2.
No.
And it's got totally different flavor, but it's not bad. It's like having a coconut caramel and a motherfucking, like, raspberry mousse, if that's your thing. You know what I mean? They're both delicious to me, but they're totally different candies.
I would agree. And not to keep saying it, but like Hollywood, if you're gonna make more of these, just do that. Stop just coming up with these like weirdo ideas that don't add up to anything Predator related.
I don't need fucking Iron Man Predator. I don't like you're missing the point. Like like when they did
let's get AVP done right.
Yes,
let's get the
for
fucking
Christ's
Space
sake.
Marines, do it in the future.
Call fucking John Rosengrant. Call fucking Steve Wang. Call Steve Johnson.
Call any one of those people in any of that order. Let's make it happen. Let's get a good one in our fucking lifetime, please.
Also, the Predator does not belong to ADI Studios and Tom Woodruff and Alec Gillis. Let somebody else take a crack at this fucking thing, please. Please. But yeah, I thought it's fine. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's good.
Yeah.
And we made it through another Predator movie.
Yes.
And unscathed, I feel like, this time. So I want to present this to you, from me to you. Take it.
Want some candy? Can't really.
I don't think there's any candy in there.
I mean, I could deep throat it and find out.
Oh my God, no! There it goes, disappeared.
That's the end of the episode.
Well, we'll catch you on the next Ripe Reviews.